This is All Things Fitness and Wellness, uniting industry thought leaders and fitfluencers on the mission to inspire innovation and encourage people to live a life fit and well. Hey everyone, I'm Krissy Vann, the host of the ATFW Podcast, and this episode was recorded on site at FIBO, one of the world's largest trade shows for fitness, wellness, and health. While in Cologne, I had the chance to connect with industry leaders from around the globe. Conversations that highlighted the biggest shifts happening in fitness, from evolving business models to new consumer behavior and what's ahead in 2025. Let's jump in. We're starting with Chris Smith, CEO of Fitness World Canada and chairman of the Health and Fitness Association. Just before FIBO, Chris attended the European Health and Fitness Forum, where executives gathered to unpack regional trends and global strategies. Here's what stood out to him and how it compares to what's happening in North America.
The industry's growing, right? So the health and wellness, fitness, there's certainly perspective internationally as it continues to grow as well. I think led by the HVLP sector, similar to that we see in North America. So that part's not dissimilar in any way, shape, or form. I think definitely a lot of nervousness around, the business environment that we see right now internationally, just with all the different conversations around, data and privacy, tax, the VAT tax, as well as, and obviously the current environment from a tariff perspective. So there's a lot of dialogue and conversation there. That wasn't all necessarily in the research per se, that was more on the networking and the breaks. But yeah, that's a great report and it was great information to certainly understand.
These days, no industry conversations unfold without the subject of GLP-1s coming up.
Well, there were people in the room where they were like, this is the first I've ever heard of this. And so that in itself is pretty crazy when you consider how mainstream it is from a US and or North American perspective. So that part was very, very different. So interesting there. And a lot that I think that, again, they can learn from a North American perspective, because I think there's things that the US, if you will, got wrong, and there's things that now they figured out. And so the learning curve for other countries and other people as they look to that as a potential solution for those that might be the only or best solution, then I think there's things that can be learned there.
While Nordic countries are often looked to as role models in Europe for their high percentage of gym participation, fewer European operators consider looking toward the United States, despite its strong market penetration. Chris shared what the industry might still learn from the U.S., particularly in terms of marketing strategies and member engagement.
It's probably a combination of sales and marketing and just consumer outreach and then member journey and some of these things. I think there's a lot of products and services and providers and certainly things within the different sectors they're doing a great job with. But I think there's probably some things just from, again, limited conversations I've had, at least this week, and I'm not coming to any final conclusion, but just to say, yeah, there's certainly some elements around optimization of the business, prioritizing, maximizing in certain areas that they might be just have an opportunity to grow and learn from. It is a different, certainly business environment, right? You have a very different kind of consumer. And so I think the socioeconomics, the demographics, the psychographics, all those things we're looking at, it's not same, right? So you can't just kind of link it all together and say, well, it is, because it's certainly not. But it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot that I think can also be learned from a North American perspective to what the folks in Europe are doing with respect to some of the differences in terms of how they deal with consumers or the experiences that they're creating.
Chris highlighted pain points he often heard from European operators, particularly around taxes, and emphasized how supportive public policy could boost market penetration and help more people lead active lifestyles.
I think the biggest one is the tax situation, the VAT tax, and it varies on a country-by-country basis. And it's not to say that in North America there is not a sales tax, which there is, and then certainly in Canada, right, GST and HST and all these other taxes that certainly can be implied. It's just so variable. So the countries that they look to in Europe, when they talk about the Nordic countries, they have the lowest, if any, VAT tax, right? I think Sweden has zero. Yeah, and with the zero VAT tax has the highest fitness participation. And people look at it in Europe and say, it's the healthiest population of people. So if we want to emulate that globally, or even certainly from a European perspective, I think part of the answer is for government to understand and advocate for their constituents and their citizens to understand that pricing, if you will, and again, the HFA did a fantastic study around pricing elasticity to understand that it makes a difference. The affordability of fitness makes a difference for your community, your constituents getting healthier. And it goes back to reactive versus proactive medicine, right? Like, let's be proactive and not reactive from a healthcare continuum in terms of when we're helping people and how we're helping people.
Now let's shift to the UK market. Here's Justin Musgrove, CEO of Fitness First UK, with his perspective on where the most significant growth is happening and how his team is navigating evolving consumer demand.
The State of the Industry report came out last week, actually, with Deloitte's 16.9% population are now regular members of gyms and leisure centres. So, growing 2% up from the last time it was checked.
And in regards to which categories, where do you see the most opportunity right now?
Well, we're still seeing strong growth in the low-cost sector. We're seeing now recovery in the mid-sector and certainly the premium end of the market with the likes of Third Space, David Lloyd, Fitness First. We're sort of edging from mid-market into premium, so good.
When you're at FIBO, what are the types of things that you're focusing on personally?
The deeper integrations, ecosystems that support digital. Generation Z's, millennials all like their data, so they call the full fat customer base as well.
And in regards to mergers and acquisitions, we're starting to see a lot of buzz and activity in North America. How are things looking here?
I think we're going to see a lot of M&A in the next couple of years. Certainly, from our standpoint, we're looking to acquire new locations, distressed properties. Smaller operators are going by the wayside. Some of the boutiques. I think we're seeing a lot of activity.
And lastly, two quick things here. What are the biggest challenges that you're experiencing as an operator in 2025?
Well, the biggest challenge for all operators is retaining their members, and that's we're looking at with deep integration with the likes of EG and some of our premier partners as to how we can really break the mold of retaining far better than we've ever done.
And lastly, the better question, the biggest opportunity, because we are seeing that growth.
Well, I think it's the golden area for our industry with the Generation Z and millennials who are just so into their health and well-being. So we've got to capitalize on that, meet their needs. So we've got a really unique opportunity.
Next, we hear from Marcos from GymFit in Spain. He shares how the mid-market and premium segments are bouncing back, especially as operators double down on integrated digital experiences that connect with Gen Z and younger members.
Can you tell me a little bit about the market penetration in Spain in regards to how many people are active in your community?
In Spain, I think now we are about 12% of penetration, increasingly every year, but we are far from other numbers like Germany, England, etc.
How about when you look toward the United States? They're at about 23%. Are they a bit of a model for you, or what countries do you look toward in regards to learning and growth?
Now we better look for European countries. United States is a completely different market. Other business models is very different. An example, Planet Fitness now is entering Spain, and they are trying to have the same model done in the States, and it's impossible. Think to have more than 5,000, 6,000 people in a club in Spain like Planet Fitness does in the States, it's impossible.
In mergers and acquisitions,
Yes.
How is that landscape looking in Spain?
In Spain, we have a very concentration stage now. There are a lot of companies that are merging, and we have a lot of movement in that sense.
And how about the growth in the industry? What are your thoughts as we look ahead? Because I know we're seeing a much younger, fit population. So what's the sentiment now that we're really seeing the momentum post-COVID?
It's a good moment. Young people are increasingly go to the club for strength, for beauty more than health. And that's what we're trying to explore.
We now shift focus to the German market, where consolidation, consumer expectations, and digital innovation are shaping a unique operating environment. Joining the conversation is Dr. Gregor Hackfort, CEO of FIBO Fitness, with his perspective on what's driving change and how operators in Germany are adapting.
What the fitness market is like in Germany in regards to the rate of consumers that are taking part in exercise?
Yeah, I think it's growing. That's what we know. Last week was a German fitness industry market record for the first time we have more members before COVID, and it's growing. Yeah, that's what we see in our club. So that you want to train, want to work out. That's what we see on a daily basis, and we are also growing. Our business is growing. So yeah.
When it comes to growing in the fitness industry, what markets do you use as role models?
The Nordics are the markets of Europe with the highest penetration rate. So I think between 20 and 25%. In Germany, it's still only 20%. So there's a lot of potential. And I think especially with other players coming into the market, like the aggregators, Wellhub, Wellpass, Merm, Sports Club, those kind of platforms, I think that the market is growing in Germany.
Well, and on that note, what segments are you seeing the biggest growth in right now?
Definitely the boutique market. Yeah, Reformer Pilates. I think High Rocks is a big trend. So these kind of concepts. Also our concept, we are operating in the segment where we won't have staff in the club. So our clubs are a little bit smaller. So we are operating a neighborhood concept.
Right. Well, I know that labor shortages are a huge issue right now globally in regards to staffing gyms. So that's a great way to solve it. What are some of the challenges that you're facing right now in that growth perspective?
More competitors coming into the market, of course. Yeah, similar concepts, similar do-it-yourself concepts. That's it, basically.
But do you find, because what we find, I'm in Canada, sometimes competitors open nearby, but everyone kind of wins. So do you see that same thing?
Yeah, I wouldn't say everyone is winning them, but yeah, I mean, supply also creates demand. So that's definitely what we see as well. But it's always coming to a point where it's too much competition here, especially in the big cities. At the city centers, there's a lot of competition, and it also has a negative effect.
Next up, we head to Switzerland. Here's Kenshj Savary of TC Training Center, a family-run gym group with locations across the country.
There was the Deloitte market report that just came out. So through Europe, about 8% of people are getting active in gyms. In North America, we're at roughly 23%. So in Switzerland, how are things overall looking in regards to consumer uptick?
I think we are a little bit in the middle. As far as I know, we're at 11%. So we still have so much possible growth. And the goal is to get to 25%. So for us, it's awesome to be in that industry.
Are there any global regions that you look to as role models in regards to that growth?
Probably America's beautiful. With, what did you say, 25?
Yeah,
I mean, if you are at 10 and we know that 25 is possible, just imagine that growth that's still coming.
When you come to FIBO, what type of things are you looking for? What are you looking to gain here?
So today we are here just to get some impression on the newest technologies, the AI integrations that are coming up, the bioimpedance analysis, that's in-body scales, Seca truth scales, so body compositioning, that's interesting, and the integration with the software, so that our gym software integrates with the different devices and the different machines. That's interesting for us now.
Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of what consumers are demanding. And on the topic of consumers, what type of demographic are you seeing the biggest growth opportunities with in your facilities?
So we are in our facilities, we're targeted at 40 years plus and family, and that's interesting for us. But I know that in general, also the younger people, they want to go to the gyms. We have kids from 14, 15, 16 that are coming, that are influenced by influencers, and that are seeing, hey, gym is cool and I want to move, I want to work out, and we see that a lot.
What are the biggest opportunities you see for the fitness industry right now?
I think it's in the niche. Just focus on your niche and don't go broad, because the big gyms, the big box gyms, they're already here. It's really hard to compete, but if you go niche, as in every market, you can really build.
How about the challenges? What challenges do you face in Switzerland?
In Switzerland's costs, labor, rent is extremely high, and especially if you want to have a good spot, rents are extreme.
And just last question here in regards to competition, how do you view it? Is competition a help or a hindrance in regards to getting more people moving?
As we say, if you have your niche, you can separate yourself really good. So competition is beautiful.
Yeah, it's doing it well.
Yeah.
And finally, we wrap with a look at Finland. Here's Tomi Peltonen, founder of Ole.Fit.
In Finland, tell me about, because for example, they had the Deloitte report that here in Europe, it's about 8% penetration. In North America, it's about 23. How are things in Finland?
Yeah, well, actually, in the Nordics, especially Finland and Sweden, the penetration is about 21%, so it's really high. It's one of the highest in Europe.
And how do you view competition? Is it helpful or a hindrance?
I feel it's good. I mean, there's a lot of places, still small cities, that there's nothing we can go. But also, like last week, we were opening the capital is Helsinki, a small area, already existing 8 clubs. People already moving, so we go a different model. You know, we try to get the people who's already used to do the exercises, the team. So it's also create the opportunities.
And last question, when it comes to mergers and acquisitions, is there a lot of activity in Finland?
No, well, not that much. There's 2 chains. We, actually Ole.Fit, and one other that we are growing. We try to make about 12, 15 clubs per year, new ones. We also buy our old clubs, so that's the speed more or less. But yeah, that's just the 2 in Finland who is going up.
That's a wrap from FIBO 2025 with a snapshot of where the fitness industry is heading straight from the voices shaping it. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the All Things Fitness and Wellness YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn for exclusive behind-the-scenes content, extended interviews, and insights you won't find anywhere else. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Krissy Vann, your host of ATFW. Remember, stay fit, stay informed, and keep your fitness business in shape.